You know that feeling when you walk past a furniture store, maybe one of those places that sells rugs or mattresses,
Oh, yeah.
and there's just this massive, slightly faded banner out front that screams grand closing sale or everything must go.
The eternal liquidation event.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you look at it and you have this sneaking suspicion that the banner has been hanging there since, I don't know, like 2014.
Probably has been.
Right. It creates this weird psychological itch for you as a consumer. You think, am I getting the deal of a lifetime right now, or is this just the actual price?
It's the classic retail illusion. I mean, the urgency is completely manufactured.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Recently, I've been noticing the exact same phenomenon when I'm browsing for cannabis online.
Mm-hmm.
You log on to a dispensary site, maybe you're looking for some flower or a new vape cart, and it just feels like a red tag bonanza.
50% off here, 30% off there, banners everywhere.
It's relentless, and it makes you pause. Because if that strain of Blue Dream is literally always marked down by 50%...
Was it ever full price?
Right. Was it ever really the full price to begin with? Or are we looking at a pricing ghost? It kind of makes you wonder if the original price is just a piece of fiction.
It is a totally valid suspicion to have, because what you are seeing is a very specific battle playing out in real time. It's the battle between the list price and the real price.
Yeah.
But in the cannabis industry specifically, this isn't just a marketing gimmick like that rug store down the street. It is a highly sophisticated, completely data-driven survival strategy.
And that is exactly what we are unpacking today. Welcome to the deep dive. We aren't just talking about coupon clipping here. We are doing a real analysis into the economic engine of cannabis retail to understand why it looks the way it does to you, the consumer.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And to do that, we are looking at some seriously heavy-duty data from a guy named Theo Valmus.
Right. So Theo Valmus is the founder of CannabisDealsUS, and he has built something really unique called the CannabisDealsUS Price Index.
And just to set the stage for you listening, this isn't like... It's not a spreadsheet with 50 items on it from his local corner shop.
Not even close.
Yeah.
We're talking about big data here. This index tracks weekly pricing across more than 20,000 cannabis products sold online in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah, 20,000. He is scraping data constantly. He's monitoring the sticker price, the discount codes, and most importantly, the final checkout price.
So he's basically looking under the hood of the entire industry's pricing model. He sees the matrix.
He does. And his findings are honestly a bit of a wake-up call for anyone who studies markets. He argues that if you don't understand the difference between the list price and the effective price, you fundamentally just don't understand the cannabis market.
You're looking at the wrong numbers entirely.
Exactly. You're looking at a mirage.
Okay, so let's start with the psychology of this, because I think that's where the trap is really set. Valmus talks about this concept of price anchoring. And I think most of us intuitively know what that is. You know, it's why a restaurant puts a $100 steak on the menu so the $40 steak looks cheap.
Right.
But how does it specifically weaponize cannabis pricing? Like, why wouldn't a retailer just drop a $50 item to $30 permanently if they just want to sell it for $30?
Right. So imagine a retailer has a jar of premium gummies. They want to sell it for $20. That's the target.
Oh.
That's the margin they need to hit to keep the lights on and pay their staff. They just list it at $20. Everyday low price. Simple, right?
Sounds clean, honest. Why complicate it?
Because it's incredibly risky. Valmes points out that in this specific market, permanent price reductions are dangerous for a business owner.
Why?
This is where the anchoring comes in. If I list that jar at $20 permanently, your brain, the consumer's brain, sets a hard anchor. You say, okay, the inherent value of this item is $20.
Right. That becomes my baseline for those gummies. And if I see it for $25 later, I'm going to feel ripped off.
Precisely. You feel cheated. You feel like the store is getting greedy. And that is the absolute nightmare scenario for a retailer.
Yeah.
Think about the cannabis industry. It's extremely volatile. What happens if taxes go up next month? What if the next harvest is small due to a drought and wholesale prices just skyrocket?
They're stuck.
They are. If the retailer tries to raise that gummy price back up to $30 to cover their new costs, you revolt. You stop buying from them.
So once you go down, you really can't go back up without losing the customer.
It's almost impossible. Valmus describes it as a one-way street. It's like gravity. It's very easy to drop, but incredibly hard to lift back up. So retailers use deep discounts as a loophole to bypass that psychological anchor.
Okay, walk me through that loophole. How does that actually work in practice for you when you're shopping?
They keep the list price, the number that's crossed out in red, at $40. That sets your anchor.
Okay.
You look at the screen and think, wow, this is a $40 product. It's premium. Then they slap a 50% discount on it, bringing it down to $20.
So I pay the $20 they wanted me to pay all along, but I feel like I just won the lottery.
You feel like a genius smart shopper. You get that dopamine hit of getting a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly for the retailer, they haven't destroyed their pricing power.
Because the anchor is still 40?
The anchor is still at $40. If they need to raise the price next week because supply is low, they don't have to announce a price hike. They just
end the sale.
They just end the sale.
That is such a subtle but massive difference in how it feels. Ending a sale feels fair. You think, oh man, I missed it, bad timing. But raising a price feels like price gouging.
Exactly. It's all about protecting what Bellamy calls flexibility. In a volatile market like cannabis, where you're dealing with agriculture, regulations, shifting taxes, you need the ability to pivot instantly.
Right.
Discounting allows you to be dynamic without committing to permanent price compression.
Price compression. That sounds like a very polite business term for slowly going broke.
It essentially is. It means your profit margins get squashed forever because you lowered the bar and now you can't raise it back up.
Yeah.
The discount strategy protects the idea of the high margin, even if the reality is a low margin.
This leads us directly to those two terms we mentioned at the top, the list price versus the effective price.
Yeah.
I really want to make sure we nail this distinction because Velmi seems to think this is the absolute key to reading the market accurately.
It is the Rosetta Stone here. The list price is the theoretical sticker price. It's the MSRP. It serves purely as a psychological reference point. Think of it as the before picture in a weight loss ad.
It's the anchor. It exists basically to make the after picture look good.
Right. But the effective price is the real economic reality.
Okay.
It's the transaction price after the discount is applied.
Yeah.
It's the money that actually leaves your bank account. And Velmis's index is so unique because it tracks the effective price.
But why does that distinction matter so much for the data? Like, if I'm a researcher, why can't I just look at the stickers to see what things cost?
Because if you only look at list prices, you're looking at a fantasy.
Yeah.
You might look at a dispensary menu and think, wow, cannabis prices are stable, maybe even high. This industry is booming. But if you track the effective price, you realize the market is actually in a brutal price war.
It's like looking at a housing market where every house is listed for $1 million, but they're all secretly selling for $500,000 behind closed doors.
That is a perfect analogy.
If you only look at the listings, you think everyone in town is rich.
Exactly. If you're an investor or a journalist or even just a savvy shopper and you aren't tracking the discounts, the Maya says you are literally flying blind. You're looking at a map that doesn't match the territory at all.
Now, speaking of the map, I have to admit, based on my own scrolling through these sites, I kind of assumed this was just a free-for-all.
How so?
Well, I assumed that if I went to a site, basically everything would be on sale all the time. But looking at Velmis's data, I was actually dead wrong about that.
This was the biggest surprise for me in the source material, too. We all have this perception of a fire sale industry because the banners are so loud and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But the data shows that in any given week, the percentage of products that are actually discounted is tiny.
What are the exact numbers on that?
Typically, it's only between 2 and 4% of all tracked products.
Wait, 2 to 4%, that's nothing. That is a needle in a haystack.
It's an incredibly low frequency. Most products are just sitting there at list price.
But I see the banners everywhere. How can it only be 2%? Am I hallucinating?
You see the banners, but they are directing you to very specific items.
Yeah.
And here is the kicker. While the frequency is low, the 2 to 4%, the magnitude is huge.
The depth of the cut.
Right. Valmai's found that when a discount is applied, it isn't 5% or 10% off like you might see at a normal grocery store. It is usually between 30 and 55% off.
Okay, so they aren't carpet bombing the store with little coupons. They are snipe hunting specific products with massive, massive cuts.
Snipe hunting is exactly the right way to think about it. It's a surgical tool. This tells us that discounting isn't a panic move. It's not, everything must go, we're closing our doors. It is highly strategic.
So what is the strategy? Why slash the price of that specific jar of gummies by 50% and not the one right next to it on the shelf?
There could be a few things. First, inventory hurdles.
Okay.
Maybe that specific strain is getting a little old, and we'll talk about why age matters so much in a second, and they need to clear it out immediately. Boom, 50% off, it's gone in a weekend.
That makes total sense. Clearance, just get it out the door to make room.
But it's also used to probe the market. Valmis mentions this allows companies to test price sensitivity.
Testing the waters.
Exactly. Let's say you launch a brand new type of vape pen. You list it at $60, but it's not moving. Nobody is buying it.
Right.
Do you permanently drop the price to $40? No, because like we said, that's risky. Instead, you run a 40% off sale for 3 days.
And you see how many units move at that price point?
You gather hard data. If you sell 1,000 units in a weekend, you know the demand is there, but only at the lower price. You've learned what the customer is willing to pay without officially devaluing your brand or changing your permanent catalog listing.
It's like running a focus group, but with real money.
And real consequences. It's a way to discover the true market price without committing to it forever.
I want to go back to something you hinted at a second ago, the age of the product.
Yeah.
Because does this strategy apply to everything in the store equally? Because buying a bag of gummies feels very different than buying, say, a glass pipe or a vape battery.
Absolutely.
One feels like groceries and the other feels like electronics.
And the data backs that up completely. Valmis draws a very sharp line between consumables and hardware.
Consumables being the stuff you actually use up, like flour, oils, edibles.
Right. And hardware being the devices, the batteries, the empty cartridges. The pricing behaviors of these two categories are totally different. Consumables see frequent, deep, volatile discounting. Hardware, almost completely flat.
Why the big difference? Is it just because there's more weed than there are batteries?
It really comes down to the perishability factor. Think about a cannabis flower. From the exact moment it is harvested, the clock is ticking.
Right.
It dries out. Terpenes evaporate. THC degrades. It has a biological expiration date.
Yeah, nobody wants to buy dusty, year-old flour. It's harsh. It doesn't taste good. You feel like you're buying stale bread.
Exactly. It's a perishable good, just like produce at the supermarket. Inventory cycles are incredibly short. When a new harvest comes in from California or Oregon, the old stuff has to go now.
They need the shelf space.
The retailer is under immense pressure to move that volume before it becomes completely unsellable. Deep discounts are pretty much the only lever they can pull to clear those shelves fast enough.
Whereas a
vaporizer is a piece of electronics. It sits on a shelf. It doesn't rot. It doesn't lose potency over time. It's basically just a lithium battery and some circuitry.
Yeah.
The supply chain is stable and predictable. So retailers just don't feel that same panic. They can hold the price steady because the product retains its value 6 months from now.
That's really interesting. So the volatility of the price is actually a reflection of the volatility of the product itself. The biology dictates the economics.
In a way, yes. And if you're shopping for flour, you should expect and maybe even wait for those deep swings. But if you're shopping for a high-end device, don't hold your breath for a 50% off sale. It's likely not coming because the store just isn't desperate to move it.
That's a really practical takeaway for the listener. Know what you're buying to know if the price is real or if a discount is coming.
Absolutely. Understanding the product life cycle helps you predict the discount cycle.
So, zooming out a bit here, we got this picture of a market where list prices are anchors, discounts are surgical strikes, and the shelf life of the plant drives the deals.
Yeah.
What does all of this tell us about the state of the cannabis industry right now? Because honestly, it sounds pretty stressful for the retailers.
It creates a picture of a market that is under significant pressure. Valmis argues that this high-frequency, high-depth discounting is a classic competitive indicator. We aren't in the green rush anymore.
So the days of build it and they will come are over.
Long gone. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now we are in a phase of fierce competition. Supply is high, margins are tight, and retailers are fighting tooth and nail for every single customer.
Wow.
And Valmis makes a really important point here about transparency in this kind of market.
What's his argument there?
He argues that without tools like his price index, the industry is essentially diluting itself.
How so?
Well, if you're a researcher writing a report that says cannabis prices are holding steady at $40 an eighth, but you're only looking at the list prices,
you're reporting on a fiction.
You are missing the fact that the effective price might be 40% lower across the board. You're missing the actual economy. You're reporting on the anchor, not the boat.
Right.
That's why he publishes this data on CannabisDealsUS. He wants to drag the effective price out into the sunlight so investors, researchers, and consumers can see how supply and demand are actually interacting.
It's kind of a democratization of data.
It is. It levels the playing field so everyone knows what the real score is.
It really changes how you look at the shopping experience, too. Instead of just thinking, oh, cool, I got a deal, you realize you're being part of a massive algorithm-driven experiment.
You are a data point. Every single time you click that Add to Cart button on a sale item, you are voting. You are telling the retailer, this is the price I accept, and they are definitely recording that.
So practically speaking, next time I'm online and I see that 50% off banner, what should be going through my head? Should I be cynical about it?
Not cynical, just aware. You should realize that it's not a gift. It is a calculated move to keep you from getting used to that lower price permanently.
Yeah.
They are giving you the deal today, so they can reserve the right to charge you full price tomorrow.
It's about keeping their options open.
It preserves their power. If they lower the price permanently, they hand that power to you. By keeping it as a discount, they hold the cards. They control the switch.
That is, I mean, it's slightly manipulative, but it's also brilliant economics.
It's survival. In a low-margin, high-competition world, it's how you stay alive. It's the difference between being profitable and going out of business.
Well, this has certainly changed how I'm going to look at my digital cart next time I check out. It's not just a transaction anymore, it's a strategy game.
And you're a player in it, whether you know it or not.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, is there one last thing that stands out to you from Valmus's work, something that really stuck with you?
You know, there is one thought I can't quite shake. We've talked about how the list price is basically an anchor, a psychological trick. But it raises a deeper philosophical question for me.
Go on.
If the list price barely ever changes, and the effective price is the only one that truly matters to the economy, at what point does the list price cease to be a price at all?
What do you mean? Like it just becomes completely imaginary?
Exactly. At what point does it become purely a work of marketing fiction? And more importantly, what does it say about us as consumers?
Us.
Yeah, we consider ourselves smart shoppers, right? We want the best deal. But we still seem to need that fake high number crossed out in red just to feel good about paying the real price.
We need the lie to enjoy the truth.
We demand the illusion just as much as the retailers supply it. If they just gave us the low price without the red tag, we might not buy it. We might think something is wrong with it.
That is a little unsettling to think about. We are basically co-conspirators in the pricing game.
We absolutely are. The algorithm is just responding to our psychology.
Well, that is certainly something to chew on next time you're filling up your digital cart. Huge thanks to the insights from Theo Valmus and the incredible data scale from CannabisDealsUS for helping us decode this.
It's been a fascinating look behind the curtain.
And thank you to you, the listener, for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.